Hello, I'm Sam.
I'm Adam.
You're listening to the PMMetalGuide podcast. We're talking about
Woo!
stuff amongst other things.
Always.
Today we're going to be looking back on the Deer Hunter's first record, which came out 15 years ago this week.
Pretty incredible and insane, actually, to think about it, especially being a longtime fan.
Seriously. It's definitely weird. Deer Hunter been one of my favorite bands for a while. I'll tell this story in a second, but I saw them, I guess it would have been in 2019 on like the fall tour.
God, that long ago.
Got into a little bit of an argument with Casey, recorded for the whole world to see.
That's hysterical.
And at the same time, I was just like, man, the Deer Hunter's like back catalog's ass. And I don't feel that way quite so much today, but let's just say they're not the most consistent band.
No, I would agree. But that is a great story, time and time again.
Yeah, it is a great story. For that, what have you been listening to?
Well, primarily just this new Succumb album, man. Like, honestly, that's like the one thing that's constant every day in my listening rotation is that record. It's just insane to me. Truly.
Yeah, it is absolutely visceral.
Like, I don't know. It's already pretty high on, like, my favorite stuff of the year. I don't know if it can be topped, but there's also, like, just so much new music coming out, including what I've been bumping today, which is the New Frontier. That is just...
Oh, wait, the New Frontier came out today?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, New Frontier.
I knew the new Full of Hell came out today, and I was like, oh, this is awesome. Mm-hmm. But I was like, oh...
Yeah,
okay, well, I know what I'm doing.
No, yeah, right.
How do they cram 16 songs into this beast?
I have no idea. And, like, honestly, like, this album's fucking visceral, man. It's glitchy. It's hard. Yeah, they don't miss. They don't miss.
I totally buy it.
Mm-hmm.
I totally buy it. Let's see. I don't know. I listened to some decent amount of, like, very bad mid-2000s post-hardcore.
Heck yeah.
We have a mutual friend who's into that stuff, and I was shuffling the Deer Hunter during a long car ride, and then for whatever reason just started playing Circus Survive, Fall of Troy, and that whole like brand.
That's fun.
And I don't know, the guitar work's cool.
Yeah.
I don't hate the vocals as much as I used to, but it's not for me.
Right. No, that makes sense.
I've been bopping, listening to a lot of Deftones and Knocked Loose to learn those songs.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure you have.
I have as well, yes.
Yeah, the amount of people that just like go bananas for Be Quiet and Drive is like nuts.
No, I can imagine. I mean, it's a pretty intense and insane song, but it's also like really like it hits the normie factor too.
Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of heavy though, and kind of weird.
No,
like
very heavy.
You got like a weird structure, all the shoegazy bits, and then the far away for like 2 minutes.
Yeah, that's true.
But good stuff. Obviously, yeah. And have you listened to Full of Hell yet?
Not completely. I mean, the singles are got to be some indication of just how insane the record's gonna be.
Yeah, it's a really good, like, very strong.
Yeah.
I think the Everything It Is Noise review did a good job encapsulating it, but it's the lads.
Yeah. I don't expect anything less than great from them. So
yeah, I don't know. I like the skronk. I like the noise influence.
Yeah.
I'll definitely got to give it some more spins because it's fairly abrasive, but good stuff all around from them.
Absolutely.
As one would expect from the one, the only, the Full of Hell.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. What else do we got this week? Oh, yeah, I listened to All Hope Is Gone. I think we talked about that.
Yeah.
Though, listened to New Skepticism. Fairly good.
Yeah.
Definitely a lot more, like, gothic than Funeral Doom in my eyes.
I agree. Yeah. I mean, it has that proto influence very heavy or heavy-handed on the whole record.
Oh, totally. You got like clean vocals, super prominent organs. Someone actually called in to my radio show last night to request a Draconian song, and honestly, I think Skepticism sounds kind of like Draconian, at least on this record.
Yeah, that's fair. That's a fair comparison, I think.
The new Converge singles. Actually, we know to talk about singles at the end.
Yeah.
But the Converge Chelsea Moon singles, amazing.
Yeah,
Way better than I was
it's
expecting.
It's going to be a pretty stellar record, I think.
100%.
Mm-hmm.
And you haven't listened to Poppy's Flux, so I don't think me or you either knew this record even existed until this week.
I mean, I knew it was coming out at some point, but I didn't really decide to give it the time of day. Because, like,
yeah, it just,
I don't know. Yeah. I've heard the singles.
What caused it? So yeah, someone was just like, "Oh yeah, new Poppy record," and I was like, "What? What?"
Yeah. No, I think.
And here we go.
I think it's matching like her fashion line, which is, in my eyes, a little cringe, but like whatever. But I don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't think it's as good as I Disagree or even the little EP that came out.
Mm-hmm.
It's literally just like alt rock with Poppy and influence from non-alt rock. Like a lot of the songs feel very like 9 Inch Nails inspired. There's some like new wave influence. There's some like more like post grunge. There's some metal influence. I don't know. It's fine. Honestly, I feel the same way about this record that I do with like the Soen record from this year.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Where it's like perfectly adequate, but nowhere near as good as their previous one.
Yeah. I can totally agree with that and see that.
So my patrician takes aside. That's what we believe this week. Also, this Replicant is just growing on me every time.
Oh, it's hysterical, dude.
It's so good.
It's
stupid amounts of good.
Yeah, it's so wonky. It's so fun, but it's also like the brand of tech death that's just so fucking serious. But I don't know.
Totally.
They managed to put a really nice, I guess, just a fun spin on it. Like I don't feel like I'm listening to like a tech death album. I'm listening to like a weird fucking like progressive death metal album that.
Yeah,
but
it just feels like kind of fun
all.
Death metal.
Yeah,
because all the caveman riffs and like the ridiculous amounts of tropes that they indulge in just work really well.
Yeah. I re-listened to the Spirit Box album a couple of times, and I gotta.
What are your ascendant opinions?
I gotta say, no, man, that music's not even close to good. Like, I can't even like lie and say that it's like. Obviously, the musicianship is good. Like, everyone in the band is proficient at what they're doing. The record sounds great for a modern album, but like, man, it's so boilerplate.
I mean, that's sort of my opinion on it. I mean, I played a Circle with Me on my show last night, and that song slaps, and I was like, oh, this sucks.
No, seriously.
Like, I don't know, man. It's just not for me. It feels like just boilerplate metalcore with like a very competent female vocalist.
Yeah, and that's fine, you know.
See, like with I feel you.
We have that, you know. That's not an old formula, I don't think. But
well, as we'll talk about in our in the news at the end, it worked. Whatever.
Yeah.
The viral marketing campaign worked to a ludicrous extent.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see.
Let me listen.
I don't know. Mars Volts is great. That's not controversial. Finally listened to Nothing, and I was like, oh, this is a lot lighter than I expected.
Yeah. Good.
Well, because I've been doing a bunch of reading on like heavy shoegaze or like the modern scene and whatnot.
Yeah.
And, I know all the black gaze and whatnot, but I wasn't super familiar with like Nothing and a few of the other heavyweights. So I was like, oh, let me listen to their big album.
Sure.
And I was like, oh, this is just shoegaze with like fuzz tones.
Yeah. I was listening to.
And I mean, I like that stuff.
Yeah.
But.
There's another album that came out today by I think he's one of the guitarists of Wayfarer, and he put out a solo black gaze project, and I was like, it's just shoegaze with black metal. That's it. Like the formula is so used at this point. I mean, you can just kind of make the music and it'll sound probably pretty good.
It'll sound sick, yeah. No, I feel ya. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe there's a larger conversation to be had about black gaze being kind of dead, but...
Yeah. I just think
New Mole should rip.
It's a hard formula to, like, I guess, alter, because it's already a strange sort of.
I'd say stand out in, yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, no, that Mole album will be sick. I'm very excited for that.
Yeah, Mole should be awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, like, look at like the black gaze bands of the past 10 years that really have stood out from the crop, right? It's songwriting is key, and when you're a band like Harakiri for the Sky that knows exactly what they're doing, you got to do something a little extra.
Yes, you do. Yes, you absolutely do. God, I can't even believe that album came out this year.
All right, our authoritative thoughts on every genre notwithstanding.
I think it's really funny that you mention Harakiri for the Sky, because it's hard to believe that album came out this year.
Yeah, right.
No, like
February is
it's
January didn't exist.
So
man.
far away, like it's kind of hard. You know what? Like the Body released.
I look at the stuff I have saved.
Yeah. Yeah, the Body. Yeah, they released two albums this year.
Freaking Hospital Bracelet.
Oh, I remember the Hospital Bracelet.
I know. I like that album. Too bad the front individual is a piece of shit.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Tribulation came out this year too. Remember that?
Yeah. Now I remember.
Yeah, right. And so on. It's been a weird year, man.
It has been a really weird year. But there's you can go back and you can see there's like a ton of also obviously great stuff that has come out. So we're blessed for that.
Oh yeah, I mean every year is like perfect for the underground. Like we really are blessed. Like Portal dropped 2 albums this year. I haven't listened to those nearly enough.
Yeah, right.
All right. Anything else you want to cover before we jump into Case and the lads?
I don't know. I don't really think so. I mean, we recorded in a different, I guess, lineup this week, so we don't have too much to talk about. Most of the stuff that we talked about last week kind of bleeds into this week. We had a lot of upcoming stuff that is dropping as we record.
Not particularly exciting.
Right.
I blame your Wi-Fi.
I also blame my Wi-Fi, but that's that's a different conversation. But yeah, no, we can talk about.
All right, Adam. What do you know? All right, so we're just gonna talk about the lead up to the first album. We're not gonna do like a big like discography jump.
Yeah.
Just our thoughts on that one and like how they started.
Mm.
So, Adam, you ever hear about this band called The Receiving End of Sirens?
I have heard of this band. Yes, I indeed have. At one point in my life, and I've heard a number of songs from them as well, but that's about it.
Planning a prison break, watch out. So picture this, if you will. You're like 18, right? You're from California, and you're dating this girl who's going to Harvard, right?
Sure, okay, yeah, I'll bite.
And instead of being like, oh, you know what, let's just, long distance. The internet was a thing. It's like the early 2000s.
Right.
You follow her to Harvard.
Okay, yeah.
She breaks up with you immediately.
Oh!
And you end up in Providence, Rhode Island with no money and working at Urban Outfitters as like an 18-year-old.
Okay, sure. I'll bite.
Now, it just so happens that Providence scene in the early 2000s was legendary. You got bands like Daughters and Lightning Bolt redefining what experimental music was. You got all these like these punk adjacent bands doing all these bizarre art things.
Yeah.
And you just happen to work with a few members of a local band who play sort of like progressive post-hardcore before that was a thing.
Interesting. Where will that lead?
Well, eventually, after chilling for a while, he joined the band as a keyboard player and a backup vocalist. You guys do all right. You play together for a few years, but making money as musicians hard enough, and it's just not working out.
Fair enough.
So in your free time, you write all these demos which take sort of what your band's doing, except make them more melodic with like more influence from non-punk or metal things. Now, you give these demos to just your friends and whatnot because you think they're fine. But then the label head of the label that your band signed for is like, yo, this is amazing. Make it a fucking album.
Okay. All right. Hell yeah, dude. I'm in. Sign me up.
So that brings us to The Deer Hunter Act 1, The Lake South, The River North.
And
for those who don't know, sorry, you're good.
No, I was just
for
gonna.
those who don't know, the Deer Hunter are Casey Crescendo, Jesus. It was a solo project that he formed right after leaving the receiving end of Sirens.
Yeah, and I mean, I think the legacy of Act 1 has sort of cemented itself in a really interesting place, especially for a record that is still really, really unique in its approach to progressive rock, hardcore, symphonic, whatever. So, yeah, I don't know.
I'd agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, as you sort of got from that great hypothetical, Casey Crescendo moved to Providence, Rhode Island to follow a girl, joined Receiving End of Sirens, got pissed at the band, made a bunch of demos, and then basically it was told, like, hey, make an album out of it. Right. And that's how he got Act 1. He wrote and recorded everything and produced the whole thing itself. The only things that aren't him are the organ solo on 1878, the drums, and the trumpet player. Everything else is him.
Yeah. Still impressive to this day.
So it has this cool, like... Yeah, no, seriously. It has this cool, like, DIY feel. Mm-hmm. And it was released in September 2006 on Triple Crown Records.
Woo!
Yeah, and, you know, it's kind of hard for us to understand, like, how, like, large that was. But, like, back in the day, like, 15 years ago, Triple Crown were an absolute force to be reckoned with. So, like, getting signed and then having them do full promotion for an album that was coming out of nowhere, which was basically just your solo act, was, like, game-changing.
I didn't know that Triple Crown were a really big force. I mean, it kind of explains why the band blew up the way they did. But yeah, I didn't know that. Yeah,
no, I mean, the Deer Hunter are, like, scarily popular for what they are.
Right.
But yeah, it's kind of funny. So for those who don't know, the Acts are a 5-part concept album series written, performed, and done everything basically done by Casey himself. And the story of the albums basically follows a young kid who sort of makes his way in the world and then gets eaten by it.
Yep, that's a pretty apt description, I think.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of there's some funny things. One thing that it's important to note before we start talking about the music in particular is that all the female characters in the story, period, are prostitutes. In interviews, Casey will be like, yeah, I mean, I was just a really angry kid, and I feel horrible how, like, inherently misogynistic that is. Yeah. So, no, there is a certain level of misogyny to that, to this whole ordeal. Try to ignore it. I don't know how intentional it was. Casey's definitely, like, a leftist, so...
Yeah, no, I think it's still kind of that early 2000s, like, edgy, like, oh man, I'm gonna talk about prostitutes on my album, and, like, it's all gritty and dirty, and, like, these men are gonna treat these women like shit. Like, I mean, I think it fits the time period, but looking back, it is definitely a little bit questionable. But it is good to know that, you know, Casey is aware of this, at least to a certain extent.
Yeah, and I mean, also keep in mind, Casey was like 21 when he did this whole thing.
Right.
So, like, he was literally, like, around our age, which is hysterical. Very funny. So imagine us being like, an incel 21-year-old writing a concept album about two prostitutes because your girlfriend cheated on you.
Yeah, literally.
Like, you can't make it up. Like, in another life, Casey just posted this on 4chan and, like, killed himself or something.
Who knows?
All jokes aside, I don't know. I'm a big fan of Deer Hunter, big fan of Casey. I don't mean any harm.
No, I mean, I think that,
the context is important, though.
Right. I mean, we've as we said, we've been pretty big fans of the Deer Hunter ever since they came into our listening rotation. I mean, like, we literally have a group chat named after the band, and I don't have any other group chats named after any bands. Like, yeah, I know that's kind of small and insignificant, but, like, it's kind of just, it's just kind of pushed itself into the forefront
they're a huge part
of our music growth. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, during a particular time in my life when I was very depressed, I listened to insane amounts of the Deer Hunter, knew all the lyrics, learned everything. Like, I feel like they're the only band where, like, every song is just noise at this point. Like, I hear it and I'm like, oh, I know every note of everything going on. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of funny.
No, I totally know what you mean. I've had
unlike Opeth, we're like sort of being introduced.
No, I know what you mean.
It's very much a continuous process.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
I guess before we get into the nitty gritty, just mention the genre. I described the first album as progressive post-hardcore.
Yeah, I think that's right, or as right as you can get it. The Deer Hunter, at least, especially in its early stages, is a really weird beast, particularly on this album, and maybe the misleading demos too. It really toes the line between
the first two records really. Yeah, it sounds like the Mars Volta mixed with, I don't know, Manchester Orchestra, and then with a lot of orchestral and sort of musical, as in musical theater influence.
Which, again, is not something that is an often part of our listening rotation. So it is amazing that this band has held its weight.
Yeah, seriously. And it's funny because Casey despises musicals, despite like the whole acts being sort of a very musical concept and him borrowing a lot from Broadway and like inflection and whatnot.
Mm-hmm. Totally.
All right, you ready? You ready to dive in?
I guess.
Is the flame gone, Adam?
I mean, it is, but
does the fire remain?
The fire does remain. So I think it's no better time to start than now. Wait, do you want to tell your story first? Seeing as
all right, that's what we like to hear.
Seeing as
okay, yes, I will tell my story.
I will sit back and listen.
So this is very unrelated.
Not unrelated.
Yeah. So I keep in mind, Adam could have gone to both of these shows, but in 2019, the Deer Hunter did this cool tour where they did basically one night of like a acoustic set with a big band Q&A and then a special screening for what would become the Indigo Child. On the second night, they did a rarities set with a full band, like extra percussionist, string player, and brass player, when it was super awesome, really fun shows. But during the first show, there's this long Q&A segment, and basically someone asked, like, hey, what's your least favorite The Deer Hunter song? And the group kind of like went around, and all of them were giving kind of like funny answers, like, oh, I don't like Smiling Swine because it's hard to sing live, or like something. And then they got to one of the other guitarists for their live band, Max, and he was like, go get your gun.
Right. Of course.
And for those who don't know, Go Get Their Gun is like this incredibly bad song by the band, easily their worst, but it blew up because it was used as a Homestuck AMV in 2009.
It's still funny to hear it.
Which is hysterical. So it, like, the band's worst song is by far their most popular by like a large margin on Spotify. It's very funny.
Right.
And Casey was sort of also having fun. It was like, what do you mean? You don't like the song? What's wrong? And everyone was sort of trying to get him to say it's bad. And then Casey was like, oh, you just don't understand my artistic integrity or whatnot. And then we're at a show in Boston, and so I just everyone's just sort of like shouting things, and I yell, "It's dumb!" like
Yep.
very loudly, and I was relatively close to the front, and what followed was sort of a small back and forth between me and Casey, and then and then after that things were a little awkward. The show went on, whatever, no big deal. Then I go home and I check on r/the Deer Hunter subreddit, right?
Yep.
And there's this big post that's on the front page, and it's like, wow, whoever argued with Casey on stage last night was such an asshole.
Sam, you're infamous.
And even Casey, no, literally, even Casey himself responds to this, and he's like, yeah, I don't know what that was about. I don't know why you'd come and pay like money to see me if you didn't like our music. And keep in mind, like, the Deer Hunter, like, one of, if not my favorite artists. It was just sort of like a funny misunderstanding. And that happened.
That's hysterical. Even, I don't know, even now, like, it's still funny listening back and hearing it. I mean...
Hopefully that anecdote made some people happy.
I hope so.
Also, they made a podcast of the recording of, like, the Q&A. And when you listen to it back, you get to, like, the segment where me and Casey, like, have a back and forth for, like, a minute. And they just cut it out. They just cut out, like, the entire segment.
That's so funny.
Hysterical. Anywho, what do you think of Battissime del Fuoco? Or Fuoco, sorry.
I mean, I think it's a very iconic opening to the record. I mean, I feel like if you are listening to this album and you don't switch it off by the time the song is over, then you're probably open-minded enough to where you're hopefully going to enjoy the rest of the record. The opening to this album is... It's interesting in how it's so removed from the rest of at least this project. The symphonics and stuff come in a lot heavier on like later releases, but on this album they only really show their head on Battissimo and the Lake South, right? And then of course the River North at the end. But
yeah, for the most part, there are a few there are horn hits and whatnot throughout.
Right, but yeah, for the most part, it's pretty, I guess, true to the progressive post-hardcore heart at the center of it, and it makes it a really different record. But I do think that it starts the album really well, and it obviously is a great example of the storytelling that's just throughout this album. And if you got to give the Deer Hunter anything, it's its way of conveying storytelling through its music.
Yeah, no, it's definitely a strength. I think it's a big, bold thing to start an album with like a 2-minute long a cappella piece for the most part,
Right?
With just Casey's voice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know. It's cool. It definitely brings you into things nicely. In the story, because I guess we have to talk about that.
A little bit.
Unfortunately, in the story, it's literally just means like the flame is gone, which is sort of like the promise of something, and the fire remains, which is the Deer Hunter himself, Hunter, or the boy, whatever you want to call him, the titular character.
Right.
Very, very, very cool. Very deep, Casey. What could he mean?
I have no idea.
Yeah, and I don't know. It basically just talks about like, oh yeah, there's a child's gonna get born by a prostitute, and bad things are gonna happen.
Yep. That's
at this time, Casey had like a relatively like clear idea of the whole story in macro, but I think he had only written out like the first 2 albums for the most part, so he really only outlines the first 2 here.
Sure. Yeah. I think that's pretty accurate.
Yeah, I don't know. I think listening back to this now after, hearing it so many times, I just noticed like the very slight like pitch correction in the acapella vocals.
Yeah, sure.
And that I'm like, oh, come on.
No,
I don't know. Once you like start noticing like Melodyne, and once you've used it yourself, it just ruins any and all like indie music for you.
Yeah.
Because it's like, oh wow, I can hear like the EQ just being utterly flat, and we're not going to complain about the production on this album. If we end up covering the others, we'll complain.
Yeah.
After that, we get the River South, which is or the Lake South, sorry,
right,
which
Lake
is
South.
sort of like the Deer Hunter's main theme.
And I mean, it's a nice theme. We hear it recursively throughout the album, and obviously the musical journey that would follow after. And I mean, yeah, for setting up a really nice sort of thematic melody, it's certainly a memorable one.
It's cool, yeah. I mean, you got the tuba, you got like a piano, you got some strings. It's all very nice, all sounds good. And it leads very nicely into City Escape, which might as well be a Panic at the Disco song.
Yeah, I mean, it's not far off, man. It's re-listening to this song in preparation for this podcast did surprise me. I was like, wow, this sounds like it was made in 2003, because it's it's really boxy, and the production is just so, I guess
totally.
It fails to be like really spectacular, but I know that like for the time, like it was pretty darn good, so I'm not gonna harp too bad on it, but like it was a shock going into
oh my god
again. Yeah.
And like even like just listening to like the opening riff, which is pretty cool, like the dano nano 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 ding, sounds like a King Crimson breakdown.
Yeah.
You got a tremolo, you got horns, it's all in your face, and then Casey comes in with like the please, and it's so like compressed, it's so boxy, and his delivery is, I'm not even kidding, identical to Fall Out Boy's vocalist.
Yeah, no, it's
like identical.
I mean, you can certainly see the influence, and especially now later in our lives, we can tell like pretty easily what he was pulling from. There's not much mysticism in his influence.
Yeah, and it's seriously, and it's funny because I've heard people be like, oh man, the worst part of Act 1 is the vocals. Like, has anyone heard the first 3 Deer Hunter albums? I mean, look, I love Casey, I think he's an effective vocalist, but
yeah,
he's not exactly amazing on record.
No.
The song's an absolute banger. The chorus is awesome. I like how he like sort of fries into like the practical and mercenary lust. The backing vocals are pretty cool. I mean, the whole thing is kind of dumb, but that's like the whole band, and that's the acts as a whole.
Yeah, I mean it's very kitschy, and I will admit and say that, I think the fry, at least when I was like a high schooler and listening to the Deer Hunter, I was like, holy shit, he's able to go into that cool fry. And even then, like, it's still pretty impressive, like the way he's able to weave easily on this album in and out of the post-hardcore screams, I guess. So I'll give him that.
Yeah, and I mean, look, the song is really well done for the most part. As kind of an uneven structure. The bridge is gorgeous. I like the "Oh, but her breath escapes her" and the "places, people." Those parts are really nice. The orchestration continues throughout. It sounds very nice. I like the main riff. I like the chorus. I like the melodies. It's a well done. It's well done. It's definitely a solid song. I think. The thing we'll come back to over and over again is Casey's real strength as a songwriter and performer is the way he's able to interlock melodies between like really sticky ones.
Yeah.
And this song is a good example of that. Like, let's look at like the chorus. You have the hard line doing like the lead line, the vocals, and then the guitars are really nicely contrasting. The bass offers a counterpoint. The backing vocals offer a counterpoint, and the trick here is that basically every instrument is playing a hook,
right,
just at the same time.
Well, yeah,
that's the thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like when you listen to black metal, you're listening to the lead guitar, and that is the melody for the entire song. When you listen to Deer Hunter, basically every part of the band is doing something that could be a hook in another context, and that's what makes it so great.
No, and I think it's certainly one of the band's strengths and one of their, I guess, trademarks. You can't really find another band, at least that I can think of, that does that as effectively, especially in prog, than the Deer Hunter. I don't know another one.
Oh, totally. Yep. And like another thing here, or one aspect that makes this album and the next one so good, is that every song, for the most part, has a climax. And Casey knows what he's doing with the climaxes because he just lets it rip. He does like the classic like second wave post rock of just unironically crescendo choring it out with like everything coming to the front. And the last two choruses here are the climax here, and they sound awesome. And the outro is really cool too. You get the Deer Hunter theme for the first time.
Mm-hmm. I think this album, and again, somewhat transponding to the second record, really pays attention to those melodies and works them into the other songs in a way that like is still constantly fresh, but also like, oh yeah, this is something completely original as well. And I'll give it to the band for that every day of the week, because they know, or Casey, I should just say, knows how to do that so well on this first album.
Yeah, seriously, his like ear for like songwriting was absurd. Mm-hmm. I know, I can only imagine being like as good. And it's not like it's particularly complicated, but interlocking and making really effective pop songs this way is very impressive.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The lyrical content here is about, brace yourself, about mystery. No, that's an actual character name, as in Miss Terry.
Yep. Very cool.
That is she's the mother figure for this record, and the boy's mother.
Yeah.
She's escaping the city where she works as a prostitute at the time. And running away as a pregnant woman.
Yep.
And that is what the song's about.
It's we meet a character on this album that we don't really ever super directly return to, which is interesting, certainly. It kind of makes this album more of a prologue than, at least to me, an actual like part of the story. But I mean, the music speaks for itself, and you wouldn't be anywhere if you didn't have any background.
Well, yeah, I mean, Casey kind of conceived Act 2 first, but he was like, "Oh, I got to write something beforehand."
Yeah, exactly.
And if you listen to the Dear Misleading demos, basically every song there is just from Act 2.
Mm-hmm.
Next up, The Inquiry of Mystery. For a long time, I was like, "Oh, this song just sucks," but it's actually really good.
Good. No, I mean, I agree.
I don't know.
No, yeah, go for it.
Well, I was gonna say, like, the whole thing is sort of like built around this like nice little waltz feel. Once again, the climax is amazing. Like at the end, where Casey goes full fry, and you get the nice little tremolo guitars and the big ooze with like the "We dance around the road." It's the contrast between the really soft verses and the more aggressive post-hardcore choruses also work well, and just the instrumentation throughout's consistently well done. Like I like the bass line, I like sort of the shuffle. It all sounds fairly warm and organic, and the song's about literally just like a mother caring about her son. So it's a very nice, very nice subject matter.
No, yeah. It's...
What are your thoughts on The Inquiry?
I think Inquiry is a pretty good track. I don't think it's by any means like one of the standout parts on the record, but it is just as the stuff before it and after it, integral to the story enough to where we, foster this relationship between a mother and son that eventually comes crumbling down. But I don't know. I mean, the song itself is pretty darn good. You're right. The climax is awesome, and on this album, again, particularly, I feel like the swells are just so natural, and like this climax comes at a perfect emotional point. In the song where like I kind of like I don't want to say it's like the Weezer effect, but I'm just thinking back to like Pinkerton songs, right? And how those songs you physically like hear Rivers Cuomo like breaking as he's singing, because like that's what the subject matter is pertaining with. And I feel like on this song and on this climax in particular,
he's just a Chad,
right. But on this song and this,
oh totally, climax, yeah. I mean,
it works like that.
I'm simply lying to them too. Yeah, no, that's great. No, I mean this song's pretty good. I think the worst thing about it is the chorus, the touch, taste,
yeah,
feel.
It's kind of cringe.
Like, it's just kind of lame and kind of dopey, especially because the verse is so good. The melody's awesome. I like the part where he's like, the object of affection, convicted by convictions of indecency, sorority, corrupted by impropriety. Like the way he like runs the lines out for like really long words and mimics like several other parts of the song is really clever. I don't know. It's pretty good. Like when I'm listening to this song, I'm like, oh, this is cool. And you get to the climax and you're like, oh, yeah.
Yeah, right. That's exactly what it is. You got to just wait for
definitely the best part.
Yeah.
But it's a good one.
Yeah.
The story of this Bad Larry is about Mystery first thinking about what's going to happen to her son. She's like, oh, no, what's going to happen? How am I going to raise him if I'm also a prostitute? Which... And then she sort of foreshadows the next album in a very not misogynist way. This passes the Bechdel test.
Does it
Just
pass?
kidding. No, it does not pass the Bechdel test. And then at the very end, she literally dances with him, and then sings like, we dance around the room. I'll carry you, my love. I'll carry you. I'll teach you how to treat the leading lady that you meet. But I don't know, the whole thing has sort of like a sinister feel to it, and I don't know, the lyrics suck, but that's just Casey.
Yeah.
Like, I love the Deer Hunter. I don't listen to them for like his ability to craft poetry out of verse.
I think that particularly when you mentioned the like, I don't know, like the lyrics do suck, but pun. Like the pun is awful. don't get it twisted. But I don't know, the lyrics on this song and like, I mean, many of the fucking Deer Hunter songs, they are really cringe, but like they're cringe in the musical theater cringe where I can still relate to the lyrics and be like, okay, like I do feel kind of bad. And I do think that the foreshadowing that we hear on this track, the sinisterness in tone, is a nice touch, especially preceding the events before it happens.
Oh, totally. And it's also really cool that like the whole thing is literally a waltz. It's metrically modulated as a dance, and the song's about dancing with their son, so that's cool. All right, we move. 1878 is probably the best Deer Hunter song.
Yeah,
like, it's up there.
There are
like 3 Deer Hunter songs that could be it, and 1878 is probably like, I don't know, it depends what mood I'm in, but this song is like immaculate.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible that the way this song uses musical structure and melody and just everything about this song. Even the lyrics are like probably the least. Well, I won't go that far, but
oh yeah,
the
lyrics here are actually really good.
Yeah,
like for the most part.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Yeah, I mean this thing just like, it sounds like almost psychedelic. Like the song opens with like this absolutely gorgeous guitar interplay, and these really nice like bell things and like sort of a slow shuffle, and then Casey's voice just sits on top, and just like the melodies throughout, like they do the Deer Hunter thing where he'll layer like 8 things and they're all playing hooks. That's the entire song. Like, it's ludicrous.
Yeah, no, it's super fun and albeit emotional at the same time, because Casey's highs on this track they're really well done. For
they are high. I was trying to sing this in the car the other day, like, and oh my Jesus Christ, especially during the chorus. Yeah, I mean, like, the song's also just, like, kind of expertly written and structured. Like, the pre-chorus where he's like, branches twisting. Like, that is so gorgeous, and it leads perfectly into, like, kind of a wacky chord progression in the chorus. Fell in another hole. we know how it goes. But yeah, chorus is amazing. Just the way he's like able to layer all like the backing vocals sounds awesome. The chords sound great. The way that like the whole song sort of like switches feel. The song is in 7/8 for the entire thing.
Yeah.
And the chorus is like a much more straightforward version. I'm not going to get into like the syncopation, but it is much more straightforwardly syncopated than the verse, so it has this like nice cohesive feel. You got this awesome and somehow like not annoying organ solo in the middle of it.
Yeah. No,
an actual organ solo,
right.
And then the chorus just rings out and its climaxes perfectly and everything comes to a head and the whole thing is just so gorgeous.
Yeah, no, this song really just does a nice job of building mood and then paying off on the mood that it's been, building towards. It's incredibly emotive. The instruments are all playing, like you said, playing some really cool interplaying melodies. Oh my god. And the vocals are probably the best on the record here, which,
oh, definitely.
Isn't saying too much, but Casey is a good vocalist, all things considered. Generally, around across the board, I'd say.
Yeah, no, I mean his delivery on the verse just really works. Where he's like, it's very hush. It's like very much in his head, and then when he lets it rip on the chorus, there's this just really nice contrast.
Yeah, very poppy, but still, got that post-hardcore edge to it.
Yeah, I mean it's still like an 8-minute song with an organ solo and it's in 7/8.
Yeah.
It's just the whole thing is incredibly poppy in the sense that like these melodies are so loaded.
Mm-hmm.
Like honestly, to use a good analogy, it'd be like the Blondie hits, because if you listen to like Heart of Glass or whatever, that song has like 10 layers and they're all just hooks on hook on hook.
Right.
and that's what Casey's doing in a song like this.
Yeah.
And it's perfect. It's gorgeous. The chord progressions, a lot of 7 and like major 9s, and it's so pretty. I literally teared up when I was listening to this the other day, if that says anything.
Yeah. No, I completely...
It's like almost comical how good this is compared to some other points in the Deer Hunter discography.
Yeah.
I'm looking at you all as this all should be.
Bro, don't call him out like that. It's too early.
Bro, you can't, bro.
But yeah, no, this song's gorgeous. Certainly a highlight on the record.
10 out of 10. Yeah, would recommend. The lyrics themselves are actually pretty nice. It's literally just about like the trials and tribulations of like raising a kid by yourself, which is, something fairly relatable, and I like the symbolism, like it sounds kind of dumb, but like falling in a hole and like doing it for a knife, and it sounds, I don't know, it's nice. I also like the tree imagery always gets me too.
Right.
And the introspective year, I think, is a good line. I don't know, it's honestly fairly nice lyrically.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with that.
In stark contrast to the next tune.
Hey, this song isn't too bad. Don't even tell me you don't enjoy it.
No, this song. No, I mean I like the song. It was sick live.
Yeah.
I just think it's kind of dumb.
Yeah.
Like not kind of, incredibly dumb.
Incredibly dumb. All right. Yeah. Fair. I'll bite at that. I don't know when you want to.
Yeah. Unlike most Deer Hunter songs, the chorus is actually the best part here.
Mm-hmm.
Like Casey just absolutely lets it rip on the faster save me.
No, I mean it's super iconic.
Yeah, I mean it's super. It's cool.
Yeah, it's. I think it.
Yeah, the pre-chorus kind of sucks. The verse kind of sucks. The outro bridge and the outro, like interlude and the chorus are all great though. So
Yeah, no. I mean, this song is just. We're talking about, of course, "The Pimp and the Priest," which is the next song on this little ditty album here. But yeah, no. I mean, I think it has a really important place narratively, which I guess is one of the highlights. It's one of the things that you won't really need to pay attention to, I guess, if you're in any way invested in this story. Um, Kind of more than the other tracks, I feel like, since a lot of the stuff introduced on this song is referred back to later in the discography. Yeah.
uh-huh.
But
Yeah, I mean the whole thing is kind of wacky. It's basically like this like very white like ragtime shuffle with like tubas, a bunch of horns doing like all these like Dixieland like runs and whatnot. And that part isn't great, but when he really lets it rip with the instrumentation, it sounds great. I think honestly the best moment on this record is the bridge into the interlude.
Sure.
Like the where he just starts building everything into like the sing softly, sing him to the lake, sing. Like that's really gorgeous. It sounds really full. The whole piece opens up, switches to halftime, adds all these melodies, and it's awesome. And then the song comes back, and you're like, "Whoa!"
Yeah. No,
I think this is probably the worst song on the record. It's not bad. It's not great. There are some really good moments.
Yeah, I think that's pretty right. I don't think the worst on this record is not unfortunately hard to achieve, since they're just all the song quality is so high that one song has to be the worst. But yeah, I mean it's still overall a pretty darn good tune, I'd say.
Yeah, I mean when I saw him play it live, people went bananas, and they segged like the ending for "She's So Heavy," where the Beatles go full doom metal.
Right? Yeah.
Well, they segged this song has a similar outro, so they segged this outro into that.
Yeah. Oh, that must have been fun.
It was cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was cool. Should have been there.
But yeah.
Lyrically, the song is about the titular pimp and the priest.
So
He's the main antagonist in the acts, and if you couldn't tell, Casey is not only an atheist, but he's not the biggest fan of Christianity.
Yeah.
So the pimp and the priest is quite literally a character that is a pimp by night and a priest during day, and so it's really dumb.
It's dumb. The symbolism is really on the nose, but like, whatever. I loved it when I was a teen. I was like, oh man, it's so edgy. It's so cool. Yeah, I know. Kind of cringe, but overall.
No, I will say, what he does in like Act 4 and 5 to complicate the character is actually pretty clever.
Yeah, I agree. We're not even close to that
yet. This yeah, that's I don't know if we'll ever get there, but
right.
This is it's not the best, but it has some good moments.
Yeah.
Kind of like the band's discography.
What?
Well, anywho, His Hands Master's Tongue, the last real song in this record, is another like achievement.
Yeah, for sure. This song is just so entrancing, beautiful, but heart-wrenching at the same time. And like the instrumentation is simple enough to where
totally.
Like I just every time I hear it I just kind of lose my mind. Like it's sad, but it's able to use its melodies and the melodies established before it on the record to really just wrap this album up with a nice bow that like makes it EP length, but also like damn, like this is a statement and I can't wait to see what happens next.
Oh yeah, this song's gorgeous. Yeah, this is actually I think one of, if not the only, Deer Hunter song that is a line. It has no chorus. It has like basically a long verse, a climax, and an outro.
Right.
And it's the whole thing is gorgeous. Fairly simple guitar melodies with like some other auxiliary things. Casey's melodies are really awesome. The first part's kind of slower, then it builds with that, but not I won't ask. Mm-hmm. The well has gone dry, and I with it.
Yeah, no.
Yeah. And then the entire band just absolutely brings it for the "Oh, someday she'll be gone."
I mean, it's a really
when
awesome
I saw this live, I literally I burst into tears. It was so much.
I can obviously imagine. It's one thing to, have a song like 1878 early on in the track list, and have that kind of establish something really beautiful. But this song really just kind of sends off Act 1 with a great ending track. That is just, I don't know, kind of unforgettable.
Yeah, seriously, it's absolutely gorgeous, and like the background vocals towards the end are also amazing. Mm-hmm. Where like they're doing like the "Someday she'll be gone." We'll still have a song to sing, and then "Sing softly, sing him to the lake." It's just it's one of those good things where it's like, once again, Casey's doing it, and he's also calling back to other moments, and like you said, wrapping it up very nicely.
Yeah, I mean that's I think at least the gist of that song. I mean, it's simple and its approach, and very, very, very poppy, but at the same time, it still manages to do what it wants to do very effectively.
Yeah, it's the and like narratively, it's pretty nice. It's just this is the first song from the Deer Hunter or the boys' point of view. He's literally just thinking to himself, and then like, oh man, you know what? One day I'm gonna have to live on my own. I'm not gonna have my mother figure.
Yep.
And that one day is like the first song on the next album.
Yeah. What is the lead? Oh yeah, just did lyric. Oh, dumb. There's one song after this, if I'm not incorrect.
Yeah, you got the River North.
Of course, to really wrap up the record with a nice little emo staple, you got to have the audience in there. You got to have they have to participate.
No, literally. Like I've seen the TikTok memes where it's like someone like yelling about something dumb, and then people do like an emo intro over it. Yeah. No, this song is just sort of a simple piano with like a record filter over it, and at the end of it, the audience stands up and claps, and then you hear an orchestra retuning. Right. So it's very self-referential. The acts. It's sort of like we're seeing a play, and we're in the audience, and they're clapping, and then you hear the orchestra, the performers retuning, and Casey only uses this framing a few times.
Yeah. No. I think it's super effective here as the first of its kind, and we don't have, at least as far as I can think, we don't have any ending tracks that are like this. Most of the records do have an overture.
Kind of. Vital Vessels Vindicate.
Okay, fair enough. But I that's probably the only.
And also
one, right?
Kind of Life and Death. Kind of Life and Death.
Yeah, but I don't know about that. I don't know. I mean, it's same framework.
Well, same framework. I was gonna say that one of the when you start considering the acts as a whole, like this is the only album that really has like heavy fourth wall breaks. Like there are a few lyrics here in City Escape. They say places please, the stage is set, and then at this song, you hear an orchestra retuning and an audience clapping.
Yeah, no, I think
it's kind of funny.
No, yeah, it's really interesting the way that it kind of frames the entire saga, or tries to frame the entire thing that it is going to eventually be.
He never follows up on it. That's the funny part.
Yeah, no, it's
like
left
in Act 2, Act 3, Act 4, and Act 5. There's no like, oh, we're fourth wall breaks. It's just this album.
And I think it's kind of strange in that way, especially since didn't Act 2 come out like, oh God, wasn't it like kind of immediately
like a year after?
Yeah, it's relatively soon after. Yeah, no, it's just really interesting. It's definitely something that we are still questioning to this day as fans.
When's Act 6, Casey?
Dude,
when is it?
When's Act 6? Honestly.
Gun to Casey's head. Release Act 6. No, we're not going to get into that right now. So, as you can see, this album's pretty good for the most part. It's honestly kind of funny, because the thing about the Deer Hunter is they're an amazing band with some truly amazing songs. I don't think they have any great albums. I really don't.
Yeah, I mean, none of it is consistent enough to where, like... Well, actually, I don't know if I would say that they don't have any great albums, but at least for the acts, it's a sort of both a mixed bag and, like, there's enough tracks to constitute listening every time because the highlights are really high.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, exactly. But, like, I mean, if you look at Act 2, like, Act 2 has an amazing A-side. Then it has, like, 2 absolutely bad songs. Then it has Red Hands. Then, like, 2 absolutely bad songs. And then the closers are pretty good. Right. If you look at Act 3... once again, the A-side's pretty good, and then after Mustard Gas, we're talking like unlistenable levels of bad.
Hard fall off.
Up until like the end.
Right.
And you know, we could keep on making comparisons to the acts, but the thing about the Deer Hunter is that most of their songs are good. Sometimes they're not, and their albums are structured in interesting ways.
Uh-huh.
So, like, Act 5, for example, I'd consider the weakest of the acts. Not because it doesn't have amazing songs. I think the B-side is insane, but just because, the first 9 songs suck.
Yeah, no, it's a lot of them. And I think it's kind of hard to, look at, like, a narrative piece of work like the acts are and expect it to all be a banger. But, like... It's just really interesting when you kind of look at it grand scope, especially when you have projects like The Color Spectrum or Migrant that are, completely different in structure and in some people's, maybe mine included, they perform better than what the Deer Hunter is trying to do on the axe.
Funnily enough, no. I mean, I don't know. I have some spicy opinions. We're not going to get into that.
Right.
I would say though, of the acts, Act 1 is probably like the second best act.
Well, yeah, but I mean, I think by merit of just song quality alone, like Act 1 just kind of takes the cake, which is funny because we kind of
because the thing is like.
Yeah, we were a little harsh on this record in this review, I feel like. But it wasn't kind of meant to be that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I will say, like, I think 1878 is better than any song on Act 4, 5, or 3. So,
yeah.
Like, that alone. And also, it's fairly consistent. Like, so, I don't know. I'd say this is battling with 4 for the number 2 spot.
I think that's probably. That's probably right. Yeah. 4 is just.
Yeah, I mean, 4's issue is that every song is like a 7.5.
You just get no break.
Without. Yeah, every song is like a 7.5, and it's very consistent. There are just no real highlights like Act 2 or Act 1, or Act 3 even. Yep. Or Act 5. I feel like 4 is the most consistent, but also like the most boring act because there aren't any crazy highlights.
Yeah, I think that's probably right.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, I don't know. After this, Casey would recruit a couple more people, start playing live shows, and then a year later, actually less than a year later, release Act 2, which was already mostly written.
Yeah, that's what most of the stuff from the demos was, and it's funny because I'll still go back and like listen to a bunch of those Act 2 songs because they are great. And like, you know what? Even the shit songs in that album, I still really enjoy.
Oh yeah, seriously. Yeah, I'd agree.
Like I'm thinking
except for
like
Blood of the Rose.
Black Sandy Beaches still like pulls at my heartstrings even though that song is just not good at all.
Yeah, no, like I like.
But, I don't know, something about it.
No, same thing, or like Where the Road Parts, or even like Evicted. Yeah, Act 2 is probably the best Deer Hunter album, with a caveat that like there are some lows.
You know what I mean?
No, I know what you mean. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe we'll talk about that someday. This wasn't meant to be like an Opethesy style review, which, by the way, we have to do Pale Communion next week.
We do have to do Pale Communion at
we just got to get out of the prog Opeth era.
Yeah, it's tough, but we will get there. We will.
Yes. Yeah, I don't know. Well, Adam, what would you rate Act 1 out of 10?
It's probably an 8.
Probably a 7, honestly.
Yeah, 7, 8.
Really? I mean, it's a 7, but I enjoy it immensely because it's the Deer Hunter. So.
Right. I think that's where the 8 comes from. Because, like, I don't know, like, if we got into metal the way we're supposed to get into metal, this would be unlistenable. But we got in a very different way, or I guess a way that generally most people who listen to metal don't get into music, and heavy music in particular, because we kind of went by way of the prog and post-hardcore routes, especially with artists like the Mars Volta and like At the Drive-In being pretty big stepping stones for us, especially toward the Deer Hunter and then what would later become, prog music, BT Bam, all that sort of stuff. So because we enjoy this stuff, I think I gotta give it an 8. But like,
yeah, no, totally.
Yeah, I think objectively it's relatively around a 7.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, I think the important thing to note is like the Deer Hunter is like for a very specific type of music fan. Like, I don't know. I guarantee I'd show this stuff to like any like metalhead or anyone that really like knows music, and unless they were like raised on like a particular combination of things, they'll be like, oh, this is horrific.
No, yeah.
Like, this is so bad. Like, you have to be a fan of prog, and you have to be a fan of the sound, like the songwriting aspect of prog, but you can't be too critical of other aspects of it. So I don't know. It's kind of bizarre. I mean, I love the Deer Hunter, but they're definitely not for everybody, and I'm sure that's intentional.
No, it's a weird mix of post-hardcore, prog, and I don't know, like, I feel like a lot of those things...
Just indie.
Yeah, indie. I feel like a lot of them, they work together, but they also don't work together. And so I guess if you can't sort of throw aside the basic level of cringe that kind of just permeates the entire act, then, like, I don't know, you can't enjoy it.
And I mean, I'd argue that, like, especially in the later years, like, sort of the initial spark's kind of gone. Like, I still, I'd even argue that after Act 2, Casey never hasn't written a song as good as like The Lake and the River.
Yeah.
Like Act 3 for the most part's pretty good, but it doesn't have any crazy highlights. The color spectrum's pretty good. Once again, has like a few crazy highlights. Migrant's pretty good with a few weak songs. Like, everything's pretty good with the exception of All Is All Should Be. I'm looking at you. that EP is probably like, I don't know, maybe we'll talk about it one day and then get even more hate from Case and the gang.
Could you imagine? We don't get any publicity for the good review, but we get all the publicity for the bad. I don't know. That's kind of the way it works, right?
That's how it happens. Yeah, I don't know. Deer Hunter, cool. If you enjoyed this, check the album out. I'm sure you'll enjoy it somewhat.
Yeah.
All right. What the hell happened this week in underwhelming metal news?
Hey, new Mastodon song today, dude.
Oh, really?
Another one, yeah.
Is it good? I haven't listened to it.
I haven't listened to it either. I just know of its existence. TBH. Hey, Baroness is playing some small shows. That's super cool, right? Hell yeah.
Oh my god, it was incredibly cool.
Yeah.
I like being... Oh, actually, speaking of, I gotta grab tickets for that right now.
No.
Because they're playing...
When is it?
I mean, everyone knows Baroness. Literally, like, December 12th or something.
All right.
Yes, December 10th. And they sold out already. God damn it.
Really? Fuck. Where? Where?
Quick. I went... They were playing the Middle East upstairs.
Oh my god.
I was going to buy tickets when they went on sale, and then I just kind of forgot.
Fuck. Well.
Well, that was nice. I don't know. Maybe they'll move to the downstairs. You never know.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, we actually got some great news. The Aranzi Pazuzu Adult Swim
Oh my
single was the
God.
song I didn't know I needed.
Nope, but wow. I mean, they come back and they
Yeah.
do it again.
Like, seriously, the lads just know what they're doing.
No, it's just that music is just on another level of understanding songcraft and performance. Truly, if you want to talk about interplay,
Seriously.
that band.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's funny, too, because, like, it's not, like, premeditated.
No. No.
It's just the jam. The new Archspire single's amazing, too.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I listened to it yesterday, and I was like, oh my god, this is like stupidly good.
Yeah, no, I'm very excited for the album. Which honestly, that's something a year ago I would
it's
not
gonna
have
like
thought.
I'm just expecting. Yeah, seriously. I mean, it's just gonna be like our fucking Relentless Mutation again, but like slightly better.
Here's hoping.
So I'm here for it.
I'm here for it too. Yeah.
New. I think the news we've all been waiting for. New Limp single.
Yep. Yeah. I have heard it.
It is. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I'm down for the biscuit. The single's fine, like utterly fine.
Yeah. Dude, will Limp Bizkit get nominated
like
for a
Fred
Grammy?
Durst. Sorry. Oh my God! Stop.
I'm asking the questions.
I don't know. I don't care. I mean, look, Limp Bizkit has some bangers. The song is fine.
Yeah.
Another tour that just got announced, which seemed kind of cool. What was I gonna say? Which one was it? I was like just scrolling through. Oh yeah, Swallow the Sun, Abigail Williams, and Wilderun. What the hell?
Jesus Christ. Now, that's an underground
I sent
show.
that to you, and you didn't respond.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's an insane show.
Yeah, that really is an insane show. Where is that? Probably at the Middle East too.
Sinclair.
Oh wow, that's a
Sinclair.
You know what? Good for Wilderun.
Yeah, I mean, it's always funny. I always forget how big Swallow the Sun are because they really shouldn't be for what they are.
Right.
Like, don't get me wrong. I think they're great, but that is not exactly commercial music.
No, not by any means.
Speaking of tours, Dream Theater canceled their show. Adam, I don't know. I cried about this one. I don't know about you.
I was personally distraught. I can tell you that.
Dude, we're not going to be able to see James LaBrie like utterly just be unable to perform. What the hell? No, me and Adam don't really like Dream Theater. If you didn't understand. Also, Post Malone's festival got canceled.
Yeah.
And not for COVID reasons. It literally just seems to be a manufacturing issue.
Jesus.
Like they couldn't get the necessary stuff.
Rip Gate Creeper.
It's almost
Rip
like
Fiddlehead.
dude,
Right?
Rip
Fiddlehead?
Gatekeeper and Turnstile.
Oh, Turnstile was gonna play, not Fiddlehead.
No, Turnstile.
Yeah.
The new Body album came out too.
Yep.
Yeah, Body Big Brave came out today.
Yep.
I gotta add that.
I added it. I have. That's gonna be. I don't know how I mean, I don't even know how I feel about the singles. You know, like that music is not made for me. I'm sure it could be pretty.
Yeah,
good,
I feel
though.
ya. I want to see the Body live, dude. I've heard they're amazing.
Oh, I completely believe it. You know what, dude?
I was talking. Sorry. Yeah.
I was just gonna say, who knows? They might go on a Big Brave support tour or a Big Brave supported tour. I mean, who knows? They might play
co-headliner. No, that'd be sick. I was talking to the elder metal statesman that I'm in contact with, and he was like, "Yeah, I saw the Body in a church in Harvard Square in 2010, and the music was so loud that the church was just shaking. But they didn't use the vocalist didn't use a mic.
What did they?
And you could still hear like those like inhuman screams.
What did they use?
No mic.
Just
acoustic vocals.
Jesus Christ.
Well, no, it makes sense though, because if they're playing drone or like noise drone, then you're not going to be hitting any like whistle frequencies.
No, that's true.
So you'd be able to hear it if it was loud enough.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
In much cooler news, forget lame underground artists like The Body. We're talking about the bigwigs. We're talking about the next generation of heavy music with Spirit Box debuting at number 3 on that Billboard chart. What the hell?
Fuck, man. Fuck, that's insane. How does that happen? How does that happen?
To give you some perspective, Between the Buried and Me, Institutions on Sumerian, which are a huge label, sold about 4,000 in their first week. Spiritbox sold 23,000.
Jesus fuck.
In sales alone in the US, that makes them bigger than like basically any of what we'd consider to be popular like prog metal bands.
That's kind of gross.
Yeah, like Periphery sold like I think like 8,000 for P4 in Periphery.
Dude, that's gross. Uh-oh, here comes the reverse sexism talk again. I'm going to ring the cowbell every time we do it.
I'm not... We're not going to go down that rabbit hole. This is the result of an incredibly adept marketing campaign.
Yes. Absolutely.
That's it.
You know what? Good on...
Like, they have the image. The songs are good enough. No, good on them. I mean, we talked about this last week kind of extensively, but just a ludicrously 2-year-long marketing push that hit every single bucket, had targeted ads, released songs at the right place, getting on radio, getting on, it's just crazy.
Dude, they're going to be selling Spirit Box vinyls at Walmart.
Dude, literally, I'm gonna walk into my 800-person psychology lecture tomorrow, and half the class are going to be wearing Spirit Box shirts.
God. The end is coming.
What? Let's see. Did Metal Insider publish their article this week? Nope, they're still on Iron Maiden. One thing. Okay, last thing I'll mention. I'm not gonna lie, the black market, you know them, you love them. I think their black market for September wasn't great.
I haven't even looked at it. Is it stuff you've heard before?
I said it.
Hold on, now I gotta.
I've heard. Yeah, I mean, look, we know most. You know most of these things. I'll just tell you the bands.
Yeah, just go for it.
You got Sark, Michaelonia, Nocturnal Wanderer, Cerebral Effusion. Call to Cat. Okay, the Call to Cat record's great. Conjureth, Sadness, Serpent Column, Thra, and Veruva, which is by the dude behind the other 2 Brazilian black metal bands.
Lamau. Oh! Kaios Lemnos
again.
Of course.
Katara. Yeah.
That's
Kaios Lemos.
That's a
and then, have you listened to the Thra album? Or the Tra, I can't pronounce it.
Tra or whatever. I always thought it was Tra, but
yeah.
I've listened to both of the 2021 albums, and I think they're both pretty fucking good. Like, the first album is just like super raw, like lo-fi black metal with like a positive melodic spin. And like obviously super long form songwriting, and then the full album, at least reported by Metalum, is a lot more like just straight ambient and then into black metal, right? Like I played the first song of that record on my show last night, and it's the first half of that 9-minute song is just like keyboard ambience and piano, and then it's just the raw black metal at the end.
Okay, I'm sure it's good.
I think it's pretty
we got
good.
anything else we want to talk about, or?
I mean, we mentioned that, like, a ton of stuff came out today. I don't know too much that's coming out in the near future, but, I mean, I'm sure we're gonna have plenty to talk about.
Let me check my let's see, when Bitter Spring releases. Enslaved drop an album today. Won't be listening to that.
It's
Full
an
of Hell.
It's an EP.
Ghost Spawn.
It's an EP. There was a new Ghost single.
let's see. Order. Yeah, it's for a movie. This is where we are, folks.
Yep.
This is where we are.
Yeah.
In the year of our Lord.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, it's all cyclical. Nothing changes.
Yep.
Oh, have you listened to the new Ice Gounder record?
I've heard the singles. Did that just come out like last week?
I think it came out last week, but
Yeah.
AMG did not like it.
They hate they hate Dutch black metal at AMG.
Dude, AMG just hates good music.
Honestly. We are not calling you out,
Okay,
AMG.
okay,
You are
actually.
solely responsible for our creation of this blog and podcast. Thank you.
No, literally. Dude, okay, Arctangent?
Stop. Incredible. Insane.
Like, this lineup should be illegal. I don't think I've ever seen so many, like, amazing bands on one bill in my life.
No, it's like, seriously, if I could go to a Roadburn or an Arctangent, it's got to be this one. Like, there's...
No, right? Like, I mean, I fully plan, like, I am going to start saving to go to the UK this summer. Like, Opeth, Cult of Luna, Tesseract, Zealanarder, Mono, Amun-Ra, Alcest, Leprous, Perturbator, Caspian, Intervals, Oronzi, Pazuzu, Fall of Troy, Oathbreaker, Rivers of Nile, Abigail Williams, Bellowitch, Imperial Triumphant, Frontierer.
It's not even like funny how incredible it is. And there's even more. There's more than that.
Yeah. Yeah, also Psychonaut, sick.
Like it's pretty dumb.
Like this is levels of stupid that shouldn't be allowed.
Right.
Like we have the Armed too, and also Intronaut.
Yeah. No, it's literally like a prog.
Oh, also Psychonaut
and weird music babies like fucking dream, dude.
Like, I'm sorry, I want to go to the UK for that festival.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like that is a once in a lifetime lineup.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I am going to work towards saving. I need to acquire employment during schooling. Yeah.
And yeah, all right. On that positive note, I'm gonna go listen to Little Huddy.
Dude, do not listen to Little Huddy. It is not something that is worth your time.
Yeah, I'll try my best to spare us.
Mm-hmm.
Any last pressing concerns you want to mention?
I don't know. The PM Metal Guide podcast will certainly be back next week with maybe a talk about Opeth. Maybe we'll talk about Pale Communion. Who knows? We'll see.
Oh, all right. My final thing before we end this is that Sufjan album is not an 8 Fantano.
I agree. I think it's
all right.
I just think it's a little too one note. We talked about this.
We did. I actually listened to it though, so
yeah, it's a little one note, but the performances are, they're nice, they're good.
Yes. All right. I've been Sam.
I'm Adam.
PM Metal Guide forever.